It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. At the age of 23, today's guest Anne Berube's life was interrupted by a near-fatal car accident. Trapped in the car, unable to breathe, she had a vision that forever changed her life's path. The following years were marked by chronic pain, emotional turmoil, and fatigue. That journey led to insights around self-healing, inner peace, and soul realization. Anne is here today to discuss how to prioritize being and feeling in order to experience life fully. Anne is the author of the book, Be, Feel, Think, Do. Welcome, Anne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Joan.
So, Anne, let's start off by talking about your experience. What happened to you when you were 23?
I was coming back from a game of golf with some friends, and the driver of the car I was sitting in the front passenger seat took a left turn onto oncoming traffic, and on the impact of a half-ton truck hitting our car, on the impact, my liver lacerated in half and my lungs partially collapsed, and I lost consciousness. And when I was unconscious, I had a vision. I saw my life. I saw the life that I was supposed to live, but not the one that I was living. And in retrospect, I didn't have any words then to explain what had happened. Mm-hmm. It was like my body had been jarred so violently that I was able to see and feel this existence that I was meant to live. And at that time, I was making the wrong choices and going down the wrong path. So when I woke up in the hospital the next day, realizing that I had made it through, I made a commitment to myself to begin living differently.
And when were you able to put all of the pieces together so that it all made sense for you? What had happened?
I would say probably 10 years later, I was able to put all the pieces together because I didn't have a frame of reference for people to talk to about the spiritual experience that had happened. It was so new and foreign to me, and there was no one around me I could really share that with without sounding a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, so after the accident, you suffered from chronic pain, and then you had various physical and emotional issues that you were dealing with. So when were you able to turn this around? How did that happen?
So I was in the middle of doing my PhD and writing my thesis, and I was dealing with sinus pain in my head, but it lasted for 2 years. And I had been invited to go to a leadership course. It was called Women in Leadership. And had the title been different, I don't know if I would have gone, mm-hmm. but the title lured me in. It appealed to my intellect. But when I walked into the course, the teacher was talking about a leadership that comes from a different place within, connected to our emotions, to our feelings, to our intuition, to the feminine energy within ourselves. And as she was talking, Joan, the pressure in my head was getting worse and worse, and I didn't understand what she was talking about. She was instructing us to breathe deeply, and the women around me were crying, and I felt so frustrated and annoyed, and I wanted to leave. I was waiting for her to take a break in her talk so I could get up, go to the washroom, and just not come back.
Right.
But she never took that break, and she looked at me and she said, "Anne, are you okay?" She could feel the pressure rising in me. And she said, "I invite you to take that deep, deep breath, Anne." And my mind said, "Don't do that. You will lose control if you do that." And my heart was saying, "You have to do this." So I took a deep, counterintuitive breath, Joan. And on the other side of that breath, I was the next one in a mess of snot and tears and sounds were coming out of my mouth. But there was such a healing moment for my body. And that night I went home and my pain was gone. And it hasn't come back since. And what happened that day is I discovered everything below the neck, right? Because I used to live solely in my mind, in my intellect, managing and controlling every part of myself. And I didn't know I was holding so much emotional baggage, which was affecting my physical body.
Was that the moment when you learned the difference between being and feeling?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So tell us what that difference is. Explain it.
So I used to engage my moment to moment from the opposite order. So do, think, feel, be, which I think a lot of us do because we've been taught that in order to have what we want, we need to control and manage our lives from our actions and our thoughts. And allowing ourselves to go into our being at the base of our spine or into our belly, and I mean bringing our attention and our breath there, is a very different experience. It's connecting with another level of reality inside ourselves, and it gives us access to more wisdom, to more intuition. And the feelings, once we move through the traumas that live in our bodies, we access this joy and this peace and this freedom. And so be, feel, think, do is a way of engaging our moment to moment from just a different place that's internally referenced and deeply grounded in the body, and then it connects us with our soul. Once we heal ourselves, the veil becomes thinner and we have access to this energy that is our soul.
And you have a chapter in your book entitled Heart, the New Brain, and I love that title. Do you believe that we're becoming more heart-centered, and why is this shift occurring?
I do believe it, Joan. I think we've misunderstood the rest of the body. We spend so much time focusing on the brain, and what we're learning from the heart is that it has this capacity to process information faster and more efficiently than the brain. And there's a lot of study, and Heart Math Institute is an organization that does a lot of study on the intelligence of the heart, and they say that its electromagnetic field is greater than the brain, so its capacity to connect and to feel and to integrate and to process and emit a response is more tremendous than we ever imagined. Mm-hmm. And what I find when I allow my heart to think, or allow my heart to be the leader as opposed to my brain in any moment, is I find that it becomes of service to my brain. It allows my thoughts to be new and creative and insightful as opposed to repetitive and the same old from the day before.
And in your workshops, the Happy Sessions, you teach people how to use their unique source of wisdom. And happiness is something that eludes so many people. Why do you think that is?
If we think of happiness as an externally referenced thing that we are striving for, we will always be disappointed because we have expectations based on external things, so career, partner, material acquisitions. And when our identity and our sense of happiness is placed outside of ourselves, there will be a time when those things fade away, and they're ephemeral, right? So they don't last. So if we can find a place to put that identity and that sense of happiness that is sustainable, that is within, and that relates to a part of ourselves that is eternal and immortal, then we start to foster and nurture a happiness that is sustainable, that is always accessible to us. But it's very different than what we were taught.
Can you share a strategy that you teach in your program?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I talk in the book and I share and that I encourage in the program is deep breathing, conscious full body breath. And that's something that, people say, yeah, I breathe. I don't have any problems with that, but we really don't. And it takes a long time to really realize how much we don't breathe well. And so and I have this meditation on my website, when we bring our attention at the base of our belly, of our spine and our belly, and we start by breathing in through the nose, reaching for the in-breath at the base of the spine or the lower belly, and then we fill up the belly first, and then fill up the lungs, and then the shoulders go back and down, And then at the top of the inhalation, when we feel like our bodies has as much oxygen as possible, we open the mouth and we breathe out through the mouth, and we drop the jaw, and there's a bit of a wave sound like this when we breathe out. Breathing like this for a few minutes really shifts everything. It shifts your state. It can calm you down. It can help you heal. It can help you get perspective. I always remind people to come back to their bodies and come back to the breath. And when something really meaningful wants to move, so that's from epigenetics, the memories of traumas live in the cells of the body. When something wants to move, the breath is the tool, and we use it to allow that information to move, and that means it can go away and go back home and free us.
The book is Be, Feel, Think, Do. If you would like to get more information about Anne and her work, you can visit her website, AnneBerube.com. That's Berube, AnneBerube.com. And in our final moments, what's the takeaway? What do you want to leave our listeners with?
Trust yourself. You know. So there's a place inside yourself that knows without a shadow of a doubt your next step, what you should say, what you should do. And I encourage people to trust that more than outside opinions.
And thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing what you've learned. I'm so happy that you were able to survive that horrible accident and teach so many people these tools that can help them enhance their lives. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Joan, for having me. It's been such a pleasure talking with you.
We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read our digital magazine, take part in the book club, check out our team, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.